federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities recently unveiled a renegotiated agreement aimed at resolving long-standing disputes in Nigeria's tertiary education sector, which continues to lead to incessant strikes and closure of universities. The 2025 agreement concludes a renegotiation process that began in 2017 to review a pact reached in 2009 between the federal government and university lecturers, and which was due for revision in 2012. Several committees set up under past administrations, chaired by Wale Babalakin, SAN, Muzali Jibri, Professor, and Professor Nimi Briggs, failed to deliver a final agreement. The breakthrough came under the current administration, which inaugurated the Yayale Ahmed-led Renegotiation Committee in October 2024. Now I'm being joined here on This Day Live on Sunday by none other than Nigeria's Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, to have a conversation around these critical developments affecting Nigeria's education industry and a number of other issues. Good to have you on This Day Live, the Sunday Touch Show, Honorable Minister Alausa.
Thank you, Dr. Abati, for having me here today. Thank you.
Okay, before I go to ASUU, my intention is to talk about tertiary education, technical education, that's polytechnic, at the polytechnic level, and then also to talk about primary and secondary school education. So I will go in that order. But let me first ask, you've been in this seat since October, right?
Yes.
October 23, 2024.
2024.
Yeah, and so you spent more than a year. Now, a lot has happened. You've introduced initiatives and all of that, a number of programs. But what would you like to be remembered for as Minister of Education under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration? Let's start with that.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kwaye. Before I go to that question, and I'll address it in a minute, but I want to use this opportunity to really encapsulate things and put things in perspective. If you will please give me about 5 minutes to talk about what this president...
5 minutes?
Okay, about 3 minutes.
We don't have plenty of time.
Yeah, 3 minutes to talk about what this President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done in the past 30 months plus. I know the psyche of our people have been battered with low public trust in government, but I really want people to sit back today and look at what this President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done. He made campaign promises across the country that I will take difficult decisions. And when you have a president taking difficult decisions based on the future of your daughter or son and their grandchildren, you can be rest assured that those are excellent decisions. And come back now, we've seen this difficult decision yielding a lot of dividends in our society today. Fuel subsidy is gone. The foreign exchange arbitrage is gone. We have extensive infrastructure development across a nation. Road construction that we're doing now, cumulatively, if you put the total mileage together, since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu got in there, we've constructed more roads, rehabilitated more roads, cumulatively more than the last 10 years. You can go fact-check me on that. And then you look at we now have a new tax bill. And I'll come and talk to you quickly on that, what the new tax bill entails to us, how we will get more money to improve our infrastructures. We have inflation is coming down. Prices of food, those prices are coming down. We have our GDP growing significantly, and we now have renewed trust in our economy. Just take for oil and gas sector, you have a lot of foreign direct investment coming in, well over almost $20 billion as of my last count. This has never happened in the past 10, 15 years. There's renewed confidence, increased manufacturing activity. Now, I say this for people to now sit back. When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, all the campaign promises that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has made, let's go check one by one. Those promises have been, a lot of them have been met, significant number. And let me come to the education sector. President made 9 clear campaign promises. Within 2 years, we've met 8 out of 10. The only one that we haven't fully deployed is school feeding, deploying school feeding across the nation. And it's not for lack of funding that the president hasn't put there. The president has put enough funding for us, but we're developing, the time is taking us to develop a new technology platform where we can remove the previous corruption that plagued the system. So, on the whole, in our own sector, 100% delivery, and you go to every single sector. Now, people should now go and trust this president. When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu makes his promises, he delivers. And I want people today to be proud and be prideful of this president, and now begin to renew their trust, their hope, their public confidence in government.
Okay.
Let me stop, and I can come and answer your question.
I like your modesty.
Yes.
I asked you about yourself.
Yes.
You refuse to sell yourself. You are praising the president.
Because I work and the moment I've been privileged to serve this country by my privilege given to me by the president. He owes whatever successes will be achieved, whatever transformation we've achieved in the education sector, it's directly owned by the president.
Okay, I get that. That's fine. The principal is the person you serve. However, this recent news about the renegotiation of ASUU agreement, it has taken 17 years. 2009, 2012, 2017, and now even under your watch, it took about 14 months to now arrive at a situation where the Yahya Ali Ahmed committee working with you now says, okay, we'll give this university teachers 40% increase in terms of allowance. We give them academic tools allowance. We pay outstanding arrears. And you describe that as a turning point and as a proof of President Tinubu's commitment. Now, all of that, why did it take 17 years and even 14 months under your own watch as minister?
Thank you so much, Dr. Abati. With due respect, it didn't take 14 months, and I'll break it down for you in a minute. When President said, when he campaigned, he said 4-year course will be 4-year course in a university. And look at it within the last 2 academic sessions. The President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has been in government for about 30 months plus 2 academic sessions, no single strike. That did not happen by coincidence. It happened because of intense negotiation, dialogue that we engage as a government with ASUU and all academic and non-academic union. I don't want to single ASUU here as if it's only ASUU that we're working with. We're working with ASUU, the Polytechnic Association. We're working with COESU, the Colleges of Education Association, and we're working with all non-academic staff, academic unions as well, the likes of SANU, NASU, and NAT. Now, let me now go back to ASUU. We are not only ASUU, as we're doing it in a concurrent manner. We were negotiating, and there were a lot of low-hanging fruits that we took care of. So it wasn't as if the agreement took 14 months. What we said was we would talk to ASUU, and we will not be prejudiced about the kind of people they are. Now, before I came in, people called me and said, oh, ASUU, they are bad, they're demon. I said, no, I will not get prejudiced. Before I came in, I sat with them, met with them. I realized these people are good people. What they're fighting for for a higher quality of education in tertiary institutions. They're fighting for their welfare. They deserve better welfare. The president even really asked solidarity for them, that they're not well paid. We need to pay them better. So in the preceding 14 months, we were engaged, talking to them, intense dialogue. If I've met with any set of people since I became Minister of Education, I've met more with the tertiary institution academic unions, between ASUU, COESU, non-academic staff union as well, because we need to build public confidence back and let them trust the government. And as I was engaging with them, as we're engaging with them at the Ministry of Education, via Alhaji Ali Ahmed, we couldn't have chosen any better Nigerian to lead the government side of the negotiation. Alhaji Ali Ahmed, I give all credit and commendation to him. He illustrates some of this country who is very patriotic, very passionate about getting the best for this country. And as part of our commitment to our people, we said we will get we'll get our tertiary institution to where we want it to be, because we want to, the president directive to us is to move Nigeria from a resource-based economy to a knowledge-based economy. And if we want to do that, we have to fully engage, get peace, tranquility, stability, and academic freedom to our universities. So it wasn't 15 months. All the low-hanging fruits like end academic allowance, the needs assessment for payment that had been promised to them for almost 20 years that were never paid, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu started paying it. President Bola Ahmed told them that we will give you 200 billion, and as of now, we've paid 250 billion. We have another 50 billion waiting for us to start disbursement. We will have an IMC implementation and monitoring committee in the second week of February with the universities, with the polytechnics, with the colleges of education to start talking about how they will deploy the next tranche of 50 billion that's just been released. Actually, it's been released for several months now. We just had to work through some kinks. That's why we're still waiting. So it did not take 14 months. But guess what? This, you said it, 2009 agreement that was reached with ASUU, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu broke the jinx within his first 2 years. Now, strike will be over in our country. And the president, we have to, please, give me 1 minute. We have to, you see, look at what this president says. When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu says anything, he meets those commitments. He said, we will keep our children in school. 4-year course will be 4-year course. And that's what is happening. And if you can look at what's happened in the last, if that would be a benchmark, a barometer for looking to the future, you can confidently go sit down and reassure yourself that the issue of strikes in a tertiary institution has been completely and totally resolved. Now and into the future and in a sustainable manner.
Okay. I like your optimism. That agreement was signed in December 2025. And, you know, the choreography, the ceremony was on January 14. Was that deliberate? Now that the political season is starting, so you have the Tinubu administration, the Minister of Education say, oh, we are making more money available to university teachers. So what was all that choreography about? And is there a guarantee that these increased salaries will be paid at the end of this month?
Thank you so much. It's not about choreography or grandstanding. It's about honesty of purpose. We signed the agreement in December 23rd of December, because we wanted it to be effective in 2025, the year 2000. We wanted it to be effective, 1st of January 2026. That was why we needed to sign the agreement in December. But then December was a lot of holidays, in fact, it was actually the Academic Staff Union of Nigerian University that requested that we move the unveiling to January, not the government, because a lot of people were traveling. But when we signed the agreement, you said something, is it going to be implemented? The implementation has already started. We had the people at the National Salary, Income and Wages Commission work all through the night between the time the agreement was signed and December 30th, to have the circular issued to all government agencies that will implement the salary increase. The 40% consolidated academic tool allowance and the 9 components of the end academic allowances. So it wasn't as if we waited till January for choreography or grandstanding. This is about the lives of our children, the education of our children. We don't play politics with that. It's about fervent benevolence of this President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that to meet his commitment to the Nigerians, to Nigerians and the Nigerian student, saying every single Nigerian child must get the highest quality of education in Nigeria comparable to anywhere in the world. And the president is meeting those commitments. And then the president believes, and this I'm quoting, is saying, education is a bedrock of our society. More importantly, the bedrock of building a modern, productive and prosperous society. Without education, we can't build our society. And president is urban, determined to build a prosperous country, a prosperous society for us. And we're seeing those. I'm not just saying, these are not things that I'm saying just phantom achievement. We have huge transformation going around every single sector in the economy today. You know this better, but we just now need to go back and give this president the credit that he deserves. We need to be prideful and be proud of this president. This is the first time we have a president that is tackling all the issues of this country in a concerted, coordinated manner, and in a way that this will be sustainable into the future.
Okay, if you can speak out a bit more loudly.
Okay.
I want to ask you, this same president, President Tinubu, he tried to resolve the issue when there was, 8 months arrears dictated by President Buhari. Then he paid how many months? 5 months. He said he will pay, the 8 months, no work, no pay. He paid only 5 months. When are the university teachers going to get the remaining 3 months salary?
Let's be honest here with ourselves. You remember, just before when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was campaigning, President Buhari was the president then, ASUU strike lingered on for 8 months. 8 months of our children being in school. It was very intolerable. That was not acceptable to the president. President, as an aspirant then, it was then aspirant Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, an assembled team of people led by the current chief of staff to go talk to ASUU. And I know I've spoken to the lawyers that represented ASUU there. When they did the negotiation, the agreement was that the president said, I will pay 50% of the accrued of your salary. That was the core of the agreement. They reached out other agreement. It was 50%. And I'll tell you, as soon as the president got in there, he met his promise to ASUU. He paid 50%. He paid 5 months of the 8 months. I think there's about 3 months or 3.5 months left. The president met his commitment to them. The only thing that happened then, which was a mistake on the side of the government, it was not documented on paper. And now ASUU came back and said, president told us he was going to pay 8 months. No, I spoke to their lawyer. I will not believe, they know their lawyer. The ASUU knows their lawyer. I spoke to their lawyer. Their lawyer said, yes, the agreement, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu agreed with them as the then aspirant was that he will pay 50%. And immediately, within the first 6 months of the president getting sworn in as the president of the country, he paid in the 5 months. So he met his commitment. Now, if ASUU now wants to try to gesticulate that they're still awaiting 3.5 months, no. They know what they knew the conversations then. I wasn't privy to that, but the only thing now is when we talk about institutional memory, and that's why everything we do now, we do it in such a way that there's institutional memory and people that will come after us will have document to reference it. And I've met with them and I've told them clearly, in clear terms, please, the president has met his obligation. He never promised you 8 months. He promised you half, and he paid 5 months. And those were settled within 6 months of the president being sworn in. I think the president deserves a lot of accolades here.
Okay. Honorable Minister, let's take a short break. I still want to get to the middle cadre level, to the primary and secondary school level, but let's sort out, a technical issue in less than 1 minute, and I'll be back to you. Just stay with us. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Welcome back to This Is Live, the Sunday talk show here on the Arise News channel. Our guest is still the Honorable Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, who has been having a conversation with me on this program. Now, very quickly, and I would like the responses to be shorter so that we can get to a lot of other issues. Education being the most, perhaps, one of the most strategic issues in governance in Nigeria. Now, we've been talking about ASUU. I about SANU, NASU, I think ATS, I think that's
NATS.
NATS.
Yes.
That's what they are called,
yes.
NATS. Yeah, they are also saying, yes, we're happy you have addressed the grievances of the academic staff union, but you are discriminating against us. Why have you not addressed our own issues?
Absolutely. With all due respect, Dr. Abati, there's nothing like discrimination. We're talking to them. The way things were done in the past, before we came in as a government, things were very convoluted. They had, at the Federal Ministry of Education itself, they had a committee that was talking to ASUU. A different committee talking to ASUU, the Polytechnic Unions. A different committee talking to COESU, the Colleges of Education Union. And a different committee talking to SANU, NAT, and NASU. So many convolutions. The process was so convoluted, and those committees were not talking to one another. So what we did was that we are one Ministry of Education. We're in the same academic and non-academic union. They might be the universities, polytechnics, or colleges of education. We just need one person so that there will be throughput, front and center information gathering. And if you agree with me, what ASUU is asking and what ASUU and COESU are asking for, about 80% of their demands are almost the same. There might just be about 20% different nuances here and there. So what we did quickly was we set up one single committee, Alhaji Ayale made the committee, to deal with every single union in the education sector. And as I'm telling you, as Alhaji Ayale made as his committee, as they were negotiating with ASUU, they were also negotiating with ASUU and COESU. And we would sign the agreement soon. And they're also negotiating with the non-academic staff as well, SANU, NASU, and NAT. So we have a process that everything is going on in a concurrent manner. So they're not, and that's why you said they're not complaining. They're not saying they want to go into to strike. I've met with every single union, academic or non-academic unions. I've met with every one of them myself, sat in meeting with them, and then even listen to their issues, their demands. And honestly, we as the government, we sympathize with them.
Minister,
and that's why we will resolve, and we're resolving all these issues. And we're doing it in a way that will be sustainable.
Minister, I'm trying to hurry up so that I can get to the other levels of education. Very quickly, IPs, which was a major issue in the conflict between ASUU and government. Now, university teachers say IPs is still being implemented. Now, is that not likely to be another source of conflict?
No, Dr. Abati, that information is, with due respect, is not true. IPs had not been an issue.
I used to be a university
teacher.
Yeah,
but those were things that happened before. What was that? As of January 2025, the universities, Polytechnic and College of Education, they've been migrated to GISMIS. They're not being paid via IPs again. So you can go and fact check me. I know this. They bring all their issues to me. I'm very responsive to their issues. IPs was not even part of the conversation, part of their grievances when we're talking. And I'll tell you, with full disclosure and honestly, the Polytechnic people came and said, oh, it was ASUU that asked for IPs to be taken out of IPs that we didn't ask. I said, no. And they said they want to go back. I said, no. It was a collective decision that you told the president that it wasn't President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that migrated them to IPs in the first instance. But when this was brought to the president said, wow, how would lecturers in the universities, everybody, non-academic and academic staff, be put under a civil service pay structure? We need to build their freedom. These academic centers are where our freedom, values, our future are being built. Our president moved swiftly to take them off ASUU. He mandated the Accountant General to create a new policy. And that had since been deployed. And as part of them being moved from IPs, the president also gave them another icing on the cake. He said, their research fund and the endowment fund those funds were languishing in TSA. They couldn't access them. The president gave them authority, directed that they can have commercial bank of their choosing to domicile the endowment funds and their research funds for easy access by these tertiary institutions.
I don't want to dwell too much on the investors. They will say I'm biased because that's my original constituency. However, how about retirement benefits, professors keeping their benefits for life? Now, when will it become effective? Was it 2017 when under Minister Ngige, the thing was already in place in a particular agreement between ASUU and government? Or will it be January 2026? Because if it is January 2026, then those professors who had been promised that they will receive their salary on retirement for life, they will be shortchanged. When is the effective date for those retired professors?
So you said it rightly. This agreement emanated in 2009, 19 years ago. That was signed. It wasn't implemented. There was a lot of uproar, strikes back and forth with ASUU, and then another committee was instituted in 2017. That agreement was not signed. What we now we inherited, like what the president would say. He was the one that campaigned for this job. All the assets he would inherit, all the liabilities he also inherit. That we shouldn't pity him. We should just make sure with whatever solution we come up with, it has to be sustainable. So that next government that will come 7 years after this president finishes his term, finishes his first term and second term, they won't inherit the kind of mess that we inherited. So what we now did with ASUU was that we wrote everything from 2009 and 2017. We said it will be 2025 agreement that will be effective in 2026. So, and we're already implementing this. National Salary, Income and Wages Committee has already issued a circular on how this payment will be done. All the other components that will be implemented are already in the works. And what myself and Minister of State, we've decided with the Permanent Secretary, and what we've also done is that we've created a new unit in the Ministry of Education called a Labour and Union Activities Unit that will be headed by a director. That director will be in charge of ensuring that every single component of the agreement that the federal government, Federal Ministry of Education, reaches with these unions, both academic and non-academic union, will be implemented, will be followed to the teeth, to the letter.
Okay, I get it. So professors who retired after 2017 will not be part of this. It will be effective January 2026. Okay, now let's talk about the polytechnics. Now the polytechnics, you've been talking about technical and vocational education initiative. And within that rubric, you've been saying these polytechnics will now be degree awarding institutions. Now, is the issue about the certificate that people receive, or the issue, is it about the societal bias that you talk about HND, OND? Those polytechnics were established to serve a particular purpose, to provide middle cadre skills. Now, I don't think, personal opinion, that the issue is about nomenclature. It's about making sure that polytechnics serve the purpose for which they were established, not about people coming out of polytechnics and saying, we have a degree, and the purpose is defeated.
It's not about nomenclature here. You've got when you talk about technical vocational education and training, there's a huge panoply. There's a huge spectrum. Now, you just went to the top. Even universities are also involved in technical and vocational education, the Department of Engineering and Technology. Now, let's talk about the entire ecosystem of Tibet. You know, many decades ago, about 50 years ago, when you were growing up, technical and vocational education and training was integral part of our education system. It went hand in hand with the conventional education at universities. And there was cross-breeding, cross-movement. People went to technical colleges, they did the exam, some of them later went to polytechnics, some of them later became lecturers, they got masters and PhD. But in the last 2.5 decades, technical education became like a primitive part of our education system, was totally left behind. But then, people our forefathers that started the technical education, they knew. It was as if today, look at today now, skills are the way of the future. You go to England today, you go to Australia today, or America today, a plumber earns more than a doctor, an electrician earns more than an engineer. Now, what we've done as a government, in the last 16 months plus, we've brought TVET back front and center as part of our education system. And now, the way we've designed our TVET initiative is that we're unleashing the power of private sector so that this can be sustainable. We're using skill training centers, vocational enterprise institutes to train these kids. So we've reduced the number of trades from like 98 to where we are lacking the most. We now have about 25 trades. We've done labor gap analysis on what we need. And I'll tell you the 4-5 trades are fashion and garment making, livestock production, solar photovoltaic installation, GSM repair and networking, and we have beauty and cosmetic, cosmetics and other things like plumbing, electrician. So what we're doing now with our TVET initiative, we're paying students to go to school. We give them about 25,000 naira a month to attend, to go for those 6-month and 12-month courses. And I'm going to come to the technical colleges and the polytechnics. Just give me, but I need to lay out the entire ecosystem for you, if you give me 1 minute. And now, what have we done? We're paying these skill training centers, the Vocational Enterprise Institute, 45,000 per student. Figure today you're training 300 students. You will get federal government money of about 15 million a month. Fast forward 12 months, you're getting almost 160 million for just one technical center. So why did we do that? We wanted to bring money. Government is in any society. Government is the enabler. Government plays enabling role, facilitate, not to implement. And that's why we're carefully using the private sector to be the implementers. So I'm very thankful on behalf of Nigerian students, on behalf of Nigerians. I'm thankful to the president. The president has given us enough first-line charge money to support this TVET initiative. And today, I can tell you that when we opened the portal, 1.3 million Nigerians applied within the first 10 days. We had to close it down. And today, we have now 60,000 Nigerians that have been pre-qualified. And I'm happy to report to you today that the first cohort of 250,000 students, 100,000 are currently being trained now. Please fact check me. People are happy. We built a new ecosystem around our TVET initiative in the country today. So the step 1 of our agenda has been phenomenally a success. We've been successful in bringing, re-emphasizing, highlighting the importance of technical vocational education and training in our society. And more importantly, we have youth that want to learn. And this president has given them the access. It's about access. And as we're doing this, it's just for them to not just for them to go to these skill training centers or Vocational Enterprise Institute. We're training them to really get the skill set that they need. And we're also moving forward to create a TVET job market where these people will put their data in. Employer will now go look at the kind of people they want to recruit. So we're building a complete value chain of a TVET ecosystem.
Okay, Minister, I get all of that. The technical colleges that have been established under your watch. But when I was growing up in this same country, we had trade centers. People who went to trade centers, they would do, is it cooking, they call it, or fashion, masonry, electricals, plumbing, and all of that. And they will get a certificate called City and Guilds. So these people will go to the technical colleges you are talking about. What kind of certificate would they come out with? Because at that level of skills, we are losing out to Togo, to Ghana. When people want to do ordinary tiling of new buildings, they go to Togo. They say the tilers from Togo are better. If they want to do bricklaying, they go to Ghana. So how do you intend to fill that gap?
That was then because...
that is still the reality.
Let me give me one second, Dr. Bati.
Sand and cement.
Give me just a minute, Dr. Bati. That was the result of desecration of our TVET, our technical and vocational education that happened in the last 25 years. That's why people who come from Togo and Cotonou being the best tilers. But as we've reset the clock now, you can take this to the bank. It won't be the case going forward in the next 1 or 2 years. We would have produced more. And the trade center you mentioned, very good. These are what we now call technical colleges. We have the state technical colleges, we have the federal technical colleges. Today, at the federal government level, we have 36 technical colleges scattered in each state of the federation. And a lot of states are doing so well now Look at Lagos, look at Bayelsa, look at Borno State. They've opened more technical colleges, of which those colleges over 3 years course duration. And what we've done is that we've made it, we structured the curriculum, we structured the trades that they're learning. We've now made it more of a dual mandate. We moved it from theoretical based to a more practical based teaching. 70% of your teaching will now be purely practical, while 30% will be didactics. And what we've done is that we've modeled it along the German way of training. We call it dual mode. The last 3 years, the last year of their training, they'll be spending it in industries that is applicable to their skills. Now, once you finish today, gleefully, let me tell you today, federal technical education is absolutely free in all our federal technical education today. Absolutely free. The student will not pay a dime. The only thing they need to do, once they do the exam and pass and they get admitted, they just come with their clothes to the school. Every single course is being borne by the federal government. And we've done that. We've also carried a subnational government along. We've picked one state, one technical college out of each state of the federation, that where we're rolling out free technical education and technical school for technical education. Now we have even the states are now being encouraged as well that they should offer free education in their technical schools. And I'm happy a lot of our subnational governments, they've latched on this, and I can continue to count. I just mentioned the amazing work Governor Zulum is doing in Borno. Even in Bayelsa State, the Bayelsa State government is opened so many technical schools, state technical schools, oversubscribed. Lagos State Technical, the governor of Lagos State as well is doing so well. All the Lagos State technical colleges are all oversubscribed. They're building another 3 or 4, and so many of those new technical colleges are springing up across the state of the Federation. And as I tell you, at this new Federal Ministry of Education that myself and Professor Alausa Ahmad lead, we're collaborating more intensely with the subnational government. Everything we deploy with our subnational government so that we're in sync, we're in tandem. Because as the president will say, the citizens are at the state level. Okay, that's why we have to collaborate, and we're collaborating well with them.
Okay, I mean, this conversation will be incomplete if we don't talk about the foundational level. Primary school, secondary school. Now, the one that I'm interested in to start with, I will come to the other bigger issues. Now, in order to reduce cost and encourage access to education and all of that, you said our children in nursery schools and kindergarten should no longer have graduation ceremonies. I attended some of those graduation ceremonies, and it was a fun for me, a lot of fun for me as a parent. Those kids, you know, they have gone through some of the best schools in the world now, but, you know, fun memories for me. And then you say, oh, if you buy textbook, you use it, you reuse it, you reuse it. I mean, I don't know where that is coming from. You are trying to pull out part of the culture of going to school, just as you banned history as a subject, and then turned around and said, okay, you people can now study history. Some of those policies, I don't know where they're coming from.
Thank you so much. You've said three big things: graduation, ceremony, then history,
textbooks, and then history.
Why
are you doing in the first place? Remove history from the curriculum.
And I'll quickly answer that. History wasn't banned by this government. It was banned about 12, 13 years ago. And you look at it now, our kids are so delinked within the history of the country. I don't know who in their mind banned history. And that's why this president mandated us to do a pure curriculum review. Nigerian history is back as part of our curriculum. We instituted it, we started it. So Nigerian history is back. We did not ban it, but we felt it was wrong, and we could move swiftly to bring Nigerian history back. And now let me talk about the nursery school graduation. It might be fun for you, but sheer extortion of parents, it's not acceptable. Why would you do graduation for a nursery 1, nursery 2 children? It's just sheer extortion. We want to encourage these kids, but let's give them proper milestones. When you finish primary school, do your graduation. When you finish GSS graduation, SSS, GSS, BSS, junior secondary school, you can do your graduation, and senior secondary school. We give them something that is linked to milestone. something that is more cogent, more tangible, not that the way everything is being turned into extorting the parents. And part of the extortion of the parents that we've stopped is that, I don't know if this even happened. When you were growing up, when I was growing up, I used my sister's textbook. Our parents would tell us, please keep that book very well. Your younger brother, younger sister will use it. So it's a way to save costs. Now, they manipulated the entire process. Another way to extort students, you put workbook as part of textbook. So the student will now write on those books and become useless. And next year you tell the parents to buy another book. And also what publishers were doing was that they will not even change, there won't be any major content change. It might just be pagination or margination or just print of the cover. They say, come and buy a new textbook. We will not allow Nigerian parents to be extorted. That's bad, and that's why we moved to stop that. And now we said workbook must be completely separated from the core textbook itself. And we've also directed NARDC that if any publisher, if they want to do, except there's a global change in one form of education, textbooks must be kept. There should not be any upgrade in 3 years. And if there's going to be any upgrade, it has to be material change to the content of those textbooks. So we have to protect our students and we have to protect our children.
Okay, now I have very limited time. Many of our children are still out of school by UNESCO calculations. Now, what are you doing to get more of those students into school? And then education financing. There's not been any significant improvement, either at the federal level or at the state level. All these talks about NEL fund, TET fund, all of this, many students, the NEL fund, the loans, they don't even get them regularly. They don't get the loans regularly.
You're talking about time. Please, with all due respect, let me address some of these big things. I wish we had another 1 hour to talk to them. Because you brought big things at this point. NEL fund, phenomenal success. Today, no student can say that I can't go to tertiary institution because of fund.
No, they say there is delay in the payments.
There are no delays. There are no delays. Go fact check me, call any tertiary institution. There are no delay. In fact, as if somebody knew I was coming to this, and somebody sent a text to me today, and go and fact check me. Of VC, it was a conversation that he had with Vice Chancellor of Olabisi Onabanjo University in Ogun State. The man said, every year, I get about 3,000 students that will go on leave of absence because they don't have money to continue their school. They will go and work and come back to school. In the last 2 years, it's had 0 students taking leave of absence. And that's what you get in all tertiary institutions across the country. Today, the president has resourced wealth fund so well. Money is not an issue for us in that fund. The president said, I'll open this access to quality education for the citizens of this country.
Finance.
No, please, I need to talk about this, please. Money is not an issue. So we disbursed today, 800,000 students are benefiting from NEL fund. Go and talk to the people in the tertiary institution. It's been a phenomenal success, and we have to be thankful to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu about this. When you talk about education financing, let me tell you something. In the last 2 years, the Federal Ministry of Education has gotten the highest budgetary allocation to education in the last 2 years successively. That is the first in the history of this country. And this is just not appropriation. Real money. TET fund is getting so much money. UBEC is getting so much money. That's why you said some of our hostels are dingy in the university. That's why last year, 2025, we directed that every single direct intervention of this tertiary institution must be spent on 4 things: rehabilitation of student hostels, rehabilitation of classrooms and auditorium, rehabilitation of faculty offices, and rehabilitation of workshops, engineering and technology workshops. And this year, we're moving a step further. The president has approved another 100 billion for us to rehabilitate several conventional universities, Faculty of Engineering and Technology, and several federal University of Technology engineering workshop. We have a president that believes fervently and benevolently in education, and not just education for the sake of education, high quality of education, and that's what you're saying. country education landscape is changing. It's being transformed positively.
Minister.
And you can go and fact check me with all this. This is not about phantom promises. These are real changes going in our education sector.
Okay. Quickly, we really have to wrap up now. We've been on this for a long time. We appreciate how important the education sector is, but finally, the schools are not safe. Roofs are collapsing, buildings are falling on the students, and yet this country has Safe Schools Initiative. What have you done about Safe Schools Initiative? Very briefly, because we need to move on.
Dilapidated schools, we inherited the liability. We're taking.
Yeah, but you say we are rehabilitating them. You are not moving fast enough.
We are moving. In the last 12 months, we've rehabilitated almost 10,000 schools. And this year again, we're rehabilitating more. We're building wash facility. We're powering them with solar. We're now constructing school fences. Now, some of the things, schools, security generally has improved with our school safety. We are rejigging things now. We're now using technology to address this. It's a bit unfortunate that things were not done the way it should have been done. But we've inherited the liability. We're fixing those liabilities now. And what we've now done, I just finished a meeting with the entire, with the Deputy Comptroller General of Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. We're reviewing the security architecture they have. Usually, we have a command and control center at the Nigeria's Security and Civil Defense Corps. Now, what existed before was that they waited for schools to just register. What we're now doing is that we have 240,000 schools, both private and public in the country. They've been geomapped, they've been geotagged. We're moving it on a dashboard now. And we've met with security people. We're now going to connect each of those schools. Where would you have proper alert center? If there's anything that happens, there'll be panic button that will be pressed. It will go to the local control center where we can now move. What we have, the problem we've had before, beyond lack of enough fencing, enough light, is to develop a proper alert system. Mr. And that's what we're working to quickly develop. This is a government, we're running a one government approach, and we have a government that is delivering dividend of democracy to the people in a transformative manner, in a futuristic manner, where all these things will be sustainable into the future.
Minister, finally, we want to thank you. But one question I would love to ask, there's so much, is why did you come out and say we are banning the use of indigenous languages in schools, when indigenous language is about culture, it's about identity?
We're not banning the use of indigenous language.
No, the statement said you were banning it.
And let me clarify that.
All this nobody should speak in vernacular.
Dr. Abati, you keep bringing big issues and you want it to be addressed in 1 second. But give me benefit. I know you're managing, but you should have given me 2 hours for this event, and I will use the 2 hours completely. Now, we've not banned use of indigenous language in school. What we've done with this SWOT analysis of what's happening, they'll say use of mother tongue, which mother tongue as language of instruction in schools. No doubt, there are evidence that showed that mother tongue as language of instruction, kids learn better. But then it's deployment. We have to look at a multi-ethnic society, multilinguistic society. Today we have 646 languages in this country. Now, that policy was enacted many years ago. The Southwest, Southeast, South-South did not implement it. North Central did not implement it. We had Northwest and Northeast implementing it, but it was over-implemented. People were now using, it was meant to be used mother tongue to primary 3 and switch over to English as language of instruction for primary 4. But in the places that were implementing, they over-implemented it, and they were using mother tongue to teach up to primary 6 and up to GSS, and they were asking now to even teach up to SS3. And what we were now seeing, these kids, as they were finishing, they will have to do national exam, NECO, WAEC, JAM, conducted in English. Even they didn't have enough instructional materials that in those languages. So these kids were poorly educated. And as minister, we will not allow that to continue. We did analysis. We looked at the literacy rate. We looked at the numeracy rate of those regions that over-implemented it. It was lagging far behind compared to regions that did not implement it. And what we now said is that we'll go back to English as language of instruction to ensure standardization and train our kids to be globally competitive. But kids will still take one native language as part of their subject in primary school, in junior secondary school, and in senior secondary school.
Okay.
We're proud of our languages.
Okay. Dr. Alausa, Honorable Minister for Education, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much. So many other questions, but we have to cut it off at some point because we have other issues to discuss today. But thank you very much
Thank you, Dr.
for honoring our invitation.